The scent of pine needles and gingerbread filled the air, mingling with the crisp winter breeze as young Olivia skipped through the bustling streets of Maple Creek. It was Christmas Eve. Excitement radiated from every storefront window, beckoning her inside. However, Olivia's gaze remained fixed on the one place her heart yearned for: her father's bakery. The flourishing hearth. Since her dad, Noah, had closed up shop years ago, the memory of its warmth and aroma had sustained her through winters both cozy and cold. This year, determined to rekindle that magic, Olivia had returned home, hoping to surprise her dad with a new sign for the bakery. Little did she know that fate had an even grander surprise in store for her. Stepping into the bakery was like stepping into a bygone era, the air thick with the lingering ghost of cinnamon and yeast. The shelves were bare, the ovens cold, and dust lay undisturbed on the counter where her dad used to knead his famous sourdough. As Olivia ran her fingers along the worn countertop, she felt a pang of sadness, realizing that the bakery was more than just a building. It represented a piece of her dad's heart that had been dormant for far too long. Just then, a deep voice startled her. "So, someone's been snooping around my old stomping grounds." Turning, Olivia found herself face to face with a man she had unseen since she was 7. Her heart skipped a beat. It was him, the boy her dad used to call his business partner, the one who had vanished mysteriously all those years ago. And standing before her now, older, taller, just as handsome, was Ethan Hayes. The mere sight of him stirred dormant feelings within her, feelings that had been buried under layers of time and childhood memories. Ethan's eyes, a familiar shade of blue, widened in surprise as he took in the sight of Olivia. The years had been kind to him. But the shock of seeing Noah's daughter standing in his old bakery brought a wave of emotions to his face. "Olivia," he breathed, a slow smile spreading across his features. "You've grown into quite the woman." Olivia, still surprised by his sudden appearance, managed a smile of her own. "Mr. Hayes, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice betraying none of the turmoil his presence had caused within her. Ethan shifted, a hint of awkwardness in his posture. Well, I came back to town for personal reasons," he stammered, running a hand through his hair as if unsure of how to proceed. Olivia, ever curious, pressed gently. "Personal reasons?" Ethan hesitated, then sighed, meeting her gaze directly. "To be honest, Olivia, I came back because of this," he said, gesturing to the bakery with a slight frown. "Your dad and we had plans once, dreams." And this, he added, his voice softening, "this is a part of those dreams." Seeing the sincerity in his eyes, Olivia's curiosity gave way to sympathy. She knew her dad had poured his heart into this bakery, and the mere mention of it brought tears to her eyes. Sensing her reaction, Ethan reached out, his touch gentle on her arm. "I'm sorry if my being here has caused you any distress," he said, his voice laced with concern. "It's just that I feel a responsibility, a need to reconnect with the past, to understand who I am and where I want to go." His words resonated with Olivia, reminding her of her own journey to reconnect with her roots. Looking at Ethan, she saw not just a remnant of her childhood memories, but a man searching for his way back home. Suddenly, an idea sparked in Olivia's mind. She knew she couldn't bring back the past, but perhaps she could help Ethan find peace with it. Taking a deep breath, she offered him a warm smile. "Well, Mr. Hayes, if you're here because of my dad, then you've come to the right place, because I have a feeling he would love to catch up with an old friend." A surge of gratitude flooded Ethan's features as he looked at Olivia. "That would be wonderful, but I'm afraid I haven't seen him since I was a boy," he confessed, a hint of melancholy in his voice. Olivia's heart ached at his words, understanding that some wounds of the past run deeper than others. Determined to help, she suggested, "Why don't you stay here for Christmas? We can search for him together." The idea of spending Christmas with Ethan sent a thrill through Olivia, a mix of excitement and trepidation. There was a connection between them, a familiarity that transcended their years apart, and she couldn't help but wonder where it might lead. As the day wore on, Olivia and Ethan scoured the town for clues, visiting old haunts and speaking to townspeople who remembered Ethan and Noah's partnership. Each conversation wove a new thread in the tapestry of their shared history, bringing them closer together. Finally, as dusk settled over Maple Creek, they found themselves standing before a cozy cabin nestled at the edge of town. An old woman with twinkling eyes greeted them. "Looking for Noah?" she asked with a knowing smile. "He's at the lake." Said he couldn't bear another Christmas in town after. She trailed off, glancing at the ground. After what happened? Olivia and Ethan exchanged a look. They had pieced together fragments of their father's stories over the years, but there were silences, unspoken truths that had kept them from fully understanding the bond they shared. With the old woman's guidance, they made their way to the lake, where a lone figure sat on a weathered dock, his back to the setting sun. As they approached, the man turned, revealing a face etched with both sadness and familiarity. It was Noah, his eyes mirroring the depths of the lake, holding both joy and sorrow. The reunion between father and daughter was filled with tears and laughter, years of unspoken words tumbling out in a torrent of emotion. But when Noah turned to greet Ethan, a different kind of silence fell over them. The years of absence had deepened the lines on Noah's face, but his eyes, when they locked onto Ethan's, held a glimmer of recognition that transcended time. There was a story in those eyes, one that spoke of dreams, betrayal, and enduring friendship. The three of them spent the evening sharing stories, laughter echoing across the still water. Noah and Ethan talked in hushed tones, their words carrying the weight of shared history. While Olivia watched, a growing sense of understanding dawning on her. Through their stories, she learned of their father's partnership, their shared dreams of making the bakery the heart of Maple Creek. But she also learned of the unforeseen circumstances that had driven Ethan away, of the guilt and grief that had shadowed Noah ever since. As the fire crackled, casting flickering shadows on the cabin walls, Ethan finally spoke about his reasons for returning. "I've spent years running from my past, trying to outrun what happened here," he confessed, his voice raw with emotion. "But I realized that the only way forward is to understand where I came from." Olivia nodded, knowing that her own journey had mirrored his in ways she had never imagined. "We all carry our pasts, Ethan," she said softly. "But sometimes we have to confront them to truly move on." Her words hung in the air, a silent understanding passing between them. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable, but comfortable, a shared acknowledgement of the burdens they each carried. Noah, sensing the gravity of the moment, spoke up, his voice gruffed with emotion. "Ethan, there's nothing left for you here but ghosts," he said, his gaze distant, as if reliving a past he had tried to bury. "If you're looking for answers, you won't find them here." His words, though harsh, held a kernel of truth. For Ethan to heal, he needed to confront the ghosts of the past, not just in Maple Creek, but within himself. As the night deepened and the stars twinkled overhead, a decision seemed to fall into place for Ethan. He had come seeking answers, but perhaps the real journey was about finding himself. "You're right, Noah," he said, his voice firm with newfound resolve. "And maybe that's why I'm here, to find myself again." A sense of relief washed over Noah, the burden of the past easing slightly. He knew that true healing could only come when Ethan confronted his demons head-on. In the quiet moments that followed, Olivia found herself drawn to Ethan's strength, his vulnerability in the face of his past. The connection between them, once sparked by shared memories, was now deepening into something profound. As the fire dwindled and the stars shone brightly outside, Olivia realized that this Christmas had become more than just a holiday. It was a homecoming for her dad, and even Ethan, a chance to confront the ghosts of the past and find solace in the warmth of shared stories and budding connections. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the faces gathered around the fire, reflecting the flickering emotions within them. The past may have cast long shadows over Maple Creek, but there was beauty in acknowledging those shadows and finding strength in the light of shared stories. The night deepened, carrying with it the promise of a new dawn and a renewed sense of hope. The warmth of their shared stories and the budding connection between Olivia and Ethan promised a future filled with possibilities. As the first rays of sunlight touched the snow-laden branches outside, a sense of renewal filled the air. For Olivia and Ethan, this Christmas had become more than just a celebration. It was a turning point, a chance to rewrite their stories and embrace the uncertain beauty of what lay ahead. And as they stood at the threshold of a new day, they knew that whatever challenges awaited them, they wouldn't face them alone. They had each other and the shared strength of a community that had found its way home.